So this presentation basically summarizes all the aspects we discussed today, and I want to give reasons for a sustainable precious metal investment. So first of all, to the basics, to the characteristics of a precious metal. It's a real asset, it's a real thing, it's currency independent, it's a good hedge against inflation, and it used to be a method of payment. So, and it's even more. It's not just a hedge against inflation. What we can see is pricing are going to increase because of inflation, but also the prices for precious metal increase. So that's why it's not just a good hedge, it's also a thing of counteracting. I want to go back to the point of the means of payment. So what we realize is that the people are going back to this stage where we used to be several years ago, as gold used to be a method of payment. So Heimerle and Meule made 1 gram of gold bar and later on 1 gram of silver bar, which a lot of people laughed about us. Why do we do that? So, and we can realize that there are people who use this kind of investment, this 1 gram gold bar, which is available stuffed in a big box, so people can sell and buy it at every time they want. So it tends to be a method of payment again. And you can also see that there is a big uncertainty in the whole industry, in the whole market, because as you can see, people are very sensitive to news in the financial sector. Recently, we experienced that some banks are going bankrupt, and then the gold price increased by €2.50 compared to today in just a couple of hours. So people are very uncertain about the future, about the financial system, and that's a big thing. And this is also good for gold investments because this is stable. It's a real asset, as I mentioned. And there is no real interaction because financial systems, central banks, they can influence, they have impact. So for gold, there is just a regular supply. The annual growth rate is roughly 1.5%. So it's more or less stable. Yeah, quite clear. Precious metals have high liquidity, so you can trade them all over the world. You can convert into cash. It can also be traded anonymously within certain borders, but still you are able to buy gold anonym. And what is more, precious metals have a very low correlation to other assets. They are more or less independent, not totally, not 100%, but if you compare it to other assets, it's independent. And what I also said, it's a limited commodity. I will come to that point later on. Another advantage for precious metal investment is that gold and silver investments are no-brainer investments. You don't have to invest a lot of time because you can see all the gold prices on the internet or something like that. Whereas, for instance, if you want to invest in stocks or shares or bitcoins, digital currencies, you have to gather a lot of information in order to make a proper investment. And this is time consuming and the information is not 100% clear. So you have to invest a lot of money, a lot of time, I'm sorry. Yeah, and I mentioned that prices are likely to increase. This is going to be even more in the future. We have rising production costs, and definitely for gold, it means if you have high production costs, then the production is likely to be less in the future. Once the precious metal price is high again, it outweighs itself again. So, and we are now facing increasing environmental regulations, so this will increase production costs on top. So we expect that precious metals are likely to increase even more. Not in terms of crisis where we are in since more or less 4 years, starting with COVID, then the Ukraine crisis, and now we face inflation. So gold is always a solid pillar, a solid investment. Yeah, just to summarize once again why gold is a proper investment. It's coveted, it stores values, it's stable, it's a physical thing which cannot disappear. It's mobile, very easy to transport all over the world within a little space. And this is an interesting aspect that scientists estimate there's roughly 50,000 tons of gold in the soil. But now it gets more and more hard to get this gold out of the soil. So they guess that 3 or 4 grams can be extracted from one ton of gold, 1 ton of ground, which is barely nothing. And costs are more and more increasing to get these 3 or 4 grams. So that's why recycling is getting more and more important. There are more technologies, efficiencies rising. So this is also a crucial aspect. So what we also see on the financial market or on the global market is that we are making more and more debts. So national governments are making debts, and this is like a big sum. If you have a look at the US debt alone, it's 27 trillion. That's a 1 with 18 zeros behind. So that's incredibly a lot, and it's likely to increase even more. In comparison, the sum of all annual wages in Germany are equal to 1 trillion. So, and worldwide we have 300. Somebody has to pay for it. And it's again that the private persons are paying the bill for this high uncertainty, for high national debts, for inflation, for banking bailouts. So this is a crucial thing, and not just because of that, but gold has always been a stable investment over the years. Of course, it's a matter of perspective. If you have a look at the half-year time frame, it might be not very attractive, but if you compare it like the last 5, 10, 20 years, it has been very, very stable. And that's why it makes sense to have a second pillar. If you are investing in the financial market, it's always good to have a second pillar, which has to be very strong to secure yourself from all the uncertainty which is going on. Bottom line, what's the current situation? We have information that private investors hold roughly 6% in gold, which is still not very much. So we are not in a gold bubble right now, which everybody might think. So we are in a bull market definitely, but there's still, the potential is not reached already until now. So we still have potential to do even more. I want to conclude with my last point, which I mentioned before, that gold gets rather a currency substitute than the commodity. So this tendency can be seen even more and more. And thank you very much.